Hello, and welcome to Cooking with Clark. Today we'll be making spaghetti and meatballs. Spaghetti and meatballs are perfect for just some weekends, or maybe if you want to make something for a date. We'll start off by making the meatballs.
For this, you will need a cup of breadcrumbs, a quarter of a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of dried basil, 1 egg, a teaspoon of dried parsley, and a half of a kilogram of ground beef.
Next up, you need to mix it all together. Don't worry about getting your hands dirty, you can always wash it later. And also, never forget to wash your hands before you handle the meat. You don't want to get anyone else who's eating your food sick.
Mix all the ingredients together for about a minute.
About a minute into your mixing, add about a half a cup of water to it. It will actually really help with the meatballs. It'll make it nice and juicy overall.
After you've added the water, mix up the meat and ingredients in one uniform thing for about 30 seconds to a minute.
After the meat and all the ingredients are mixed together, you need to grab yourself a broiler pan. You want to use the broiler pan because the grease that come out of the meatballs will drain away through the slits, which will make your meatballs healthier.
Now what you want to do is take chunks of meat at a time and start rolling them and squeezing them into a nice ball form, kind of like a snowball. And then you put them onto the tray, try to make them all around the same size. The farther apart the meatballs are from each other, the better chance that they're not going to all just stick together. Now they're ready to be put in the oven. Make sure to set it to broil and just place it in the center of the oven. Close it up and there you go. The meatballs are now complete for now.
Now for the sauce. You will be needing
a teaspoon of extra virgin olive oil, a teaspoon of dried parsley, a teaspoon of dried basil, 1 shredded carrot, 1 bay leaf, a quarter of a teaspoon of salt, a can of tomato paste, a can of whole tomatoes. For the garlic, put your salt on the cutting board, then crush the garlic. Then proceed to chop and dice them. The salt will absorb the essential oils of the garlic, which will be very good for your spaghetti.
And you'll also need a slow cooker for this particular recipe. You can do it other ways without slow cooking, but this is the way I know it and how I'm going to teach it. So you'll add the can of whole tomatoes, and you will need to remove, because a lot of the ones in the can still have their stem on it, and you're going to have to take that out so you're not going to be eating the stems.
After 10 to 15 minutes, make sure you flip all of your meatballs. Next, add your tomato paste. After you've added your tomato paste, fill up the can halfway with water. Then mix it around in the can and then put the water tomato paste mixture into the sauce. Next up, you'll want to add the garlic and salt. Next up, you'll want to add your spices, the dried basil and dried parsley. Add a teaspoon of olive oil, then add the bay leaf to it and give it a nice stir. And finally, add your grated carrot to the mixture. Don't worry if you don't like carrot, it will dissolve and you won't taste it. Now, once the meatballs are done, take them out of the oven and then add them slowly one by one into the sauce. After you've put them all into the sauce, mix the sauce together with the meatballs to make sure that all of the meatballs are covered with the sauce. Once that is done, leave it all to cook together for about 3 to 4 hours.
And now finally, for the simplest part of all of this, the garlic bread.
Dried parsley, any kind of bread you'd like to put it on, softened butter, and of course garlic. Add the parsley and garlic to the butter, give it a nice stir, then apply it to your bread. Then put it in the oven for about 10 minutes or until it looks a bit golden. And there you have it, a nice spaghetti dinner with garlic bread. Tune in next time on Cooking with Clark for more great recipes.